Welcome back to the Ultimate Ironman, a challenge series where I can't use the central market and I can't use any storages. The goal? Deboreka. Hello everyone. You've probably seen from the title that there is a major problem with the Ultimate Ironman series. A major problem. And that problem is that Deboreka is not the best in slot anymore. Kazad is. The only reason you go Deboreka is to get a Kazad, and you don't even go Deboreka. Your choice is to purchase a Pen Debo so that you can have the +9 Kazad and then make that deck. That is technically the cheapest option. The second cheapest option is you start making a Kazad from base all the way to deck. And then, of course, the most expensive option is that you buy a Tet Deboreka, make it into a Pen Kazad, and then take that to deck. But in any case, in any build, in any path, none of it is Debo. We have been doing this series for so long that Debo is no longer relevant. And we haven't even made it to Ash Forest yet. Well, we sort of have. As you can tell from the background, I came up with a plan to face the forest, and it kind of fell a little bit short. The next video will probably be a little bit of a description and what we did as far as the plan that I made for this is concerned, and what I did to get here and why it fell short. And I will also discuss the new plan to face the forest. But we need to solve the major problem with the series first, which is, do we abandon the goal of Pen Deboreka in favor of the goal of deck Kazad? Or do we stick to our guns and continue with the goal of Pen Deboreka and have an item that is altogether useless? This has led me to do quite a lot of research on the time investment and the cost and the rates of how things work. I have done some testing at Ash Forest, as you can see. We're definitely not ready. I do have a plan to get ready, and it'll only take like 150 hours at most, but realistically probably around 70, which is plenty approachable. I also have tested a little bit of Hung Lim base. This would be one of the methods. There are many methods, but one of the methods to get the essence of Dawn needed to enhance the Kazad. With that said, we would still need a base Debo, and because the rifts have been an absolute nightmare to me RNG-wise this entire time, I haven't gotten a single Debo the whole time, I would still have to go to Ash Forest and grind one out. I continue to choose Ash Forest because it is by far the most accessible from a low gear or no gear standpoint. All the other Debo spots, with the exception, of course, of praying to RNGesus when you're doing your weekly boss blitz, are much, much harder than Ash Forest. Ash Forest is the most accessible one. That's why we've been stuck on the necklace all the time. That's why the plan has always been for the necklace. It is the most approachable. With that said, we need to have a discussion about which path we choose. And we need to talk about what that means. So, these are the Debo cron rates. This, of course, does not consider downgrades at all. It is just the crons per click. And of course, this particular image doesn't show the aggressessence, the pities. I couldn't find one that does show that. Now, looking at the Debo cron rates, this is really difficult to calculate because Debos can downgrade. And downgrading kind of throws rough math totally out of the equation. You can math it based on averages, but it's hard to say because downgrades happen. If there are absolutely zero downgrades the whole time, which is improbable, and we hit pity the whole time, so if we hit pity on every step with 0 downgrades, not going to happen, the cost will be 264,133 crons, or 792 billion silver. This does account for hitting pity on every single step, which is unlikely, and it also accounts for not downgrading at all, which is also unlikely. Now, 792 billion silver, from a time perspective for me at the current moment, is 1,760 hours. Again, this does not account for downgrades at all, and they are 40% of your fail chance, so therefore quite likely. That also accounts for hitting pity every step of the way, which is unlikely, but it only accounts for hitting pity once and then never going back to that again. But if you downgrade, you could hit it more than once. So this is a potential of 1,760 hours up to an indeterminable amount of hours based purely on the fact that it can downgrade, and there is no way to prevent that. It's just a big question mark. This could take 5,000 hours for all I know. It's unlikely. Realistically, it should take far less than 1,760 hours. But you never know. It could take that long. Now, on the other hand, if you look at the Kazad rates, they luckily have provided the not only the cron cost in the image, but also the Agris Essence, the pities, for completing this, and Kazad, luckily, thank God, does not downgrade. So it is a little bit easier to calculate. And with that, if we were to hit pity on every single step of the way, it would cost a maximum of 268,910 crons, or 806 billion silver, which is 1,791 hours. But again, unlikely that you would hit pity on every step. Almost impossible, in fact. I think statistically that's like technically impossible. It's technically possible, but like statistically impossible, if that makes sense. So definitely going to be less than that, but there is a ceiling on it. That is the maximum amount of time it would take. There is no ceiling on the Debos because downgrades exist. We could, of course, walk up to this and one-tap them. We could one-tap a Debo all the way to pen. Not going to happen, but I've seen it before. So we need to make a decision here, because both of them are an absurd amount of time, and one of them is entirely irrelevant now. So, either we make the decision to drop the Debo in favor of Kazad, and then we have a more calculable amount of time we need to spend, and it becomes more possible. It becomes, I don't know, a goal to reach for. That's still an absurd amount of time. Or we stick with the Debo and have, I don't know, 5 more years? 10 more years? Or an item that we would just then turn into a Nav Kazad and then, I guess, go through the last step of enhancing to make it a deck Kazad? I don't know. I'm interested in some feedback on this. My thought currently is that it makes absolutely 0 sense to continue going for Debo, because A, it's not the best in slot anymore, and B, the enhancement system is so much better on Kazad, which is the best in slot, that it doesn't make any sense to even touch a Debo right now. I understand that you guys prefer to see me suffer, but this is like the indeterminable amount of time is a problem. The 1,791 hours is absurd and ridiculous, but it at least has a guaranteed end at that. That is the maximum amount of time to achieve the goal. And that's a crazy amount of time, I'll have you know. That's insane. But the 1,760 up to who the frick knows is, I don't know. It just doesn't seem worth it to me. I don't know that I can continue to spend as much time on the series as I have been if there's no goalpost. The goalpost is just non-existent with Debo. I have no freaking idea, because the outdated downgrade system is the worst thing that BDO has ever had, probably. It's why I hate enhancing. It's why I avoid enhancing at all costs. I cannot stand downgrades, and Kazad is not that. So, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Either drop a comment that says Kazad or drop a comment that says Debo. I'll take a look at them. I'm not going to entirely leave it up to you guys, but I am very interested in your feedback on this. I'm not going to run a poll or anything, so just drop which you would prefer in the comments below, and I will think about it over the coming week or two. The build path I have in mind that's going to work for Ash Forest will also benefit at places like Honglim. So the build path for the two are the same, and as such I will continue to build in that direction. The next video you will see the build path that did not work for Ash Forest, which I was experimenting with in this video in the background. And then we will discuss the new build path going forward, which will be a lot more oriented toward damage and DR rather than just trying to sort of make accuracy work. I am kind of leaning toward going for Kazad here. Maybe that would be a disappointment to you guys. And if that's the case, be sure to try and sway me in the comments. Let's hear what you guys think. Let's hear what you're thinking. Either way, it is an absurd thing to achieve. But in my mind, if you're going to achieve an absurd thing, it should at least be the best in slot.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate